Welcome back to another 8-minute deck tech with Jake and Joel are Magic. I'm Joel. This week, we will be discussing the Rivals of Ixalan's standard Brawl deck, Nicol Bolas, God-Pharaoh. Now, as a commander, Nicol Bolas, God-Pharaoh is phenomenal. He represents three ridiculously good colors in standard red, black, and blue for control, for damage, and for dealing with your opponent's options. And he also represents a fantastic finisher. The first thing I wanted to focus on was flavor. Gate to the Afterlife is going to ensure that we get our God-Pharaoh's gift, bringing our creatures back, and the two artifacts together just represent a great control-y matchup that fits perfectly into Nicol Bolas. Now, Dark Intimations doesn't have any deck ever that it truly fits into. It's a 5-mana chosen removal, then they discard a card, and you can return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand, and you get to draw a card. Now, the important part is, though, when you do end up casting your God-Pharaoh, and you've already cast Dark Intimations, he's going to start at 8 loyalty instead of 7, and he'll be one step closer to his ultimate of exiling each non-land permanent your opponents control, pretty much locking the game for you. I spoke about how fantastic the colors were for standard that Nicol Bolas represents, and these 7 spells really kind of sum it up for me. These are the targeted removal and prevention in the deck. From Unlicensed Disintegration to Fatal Push, Supreme Will, Essence Scatter, the most utility Abrade, Negate, and Lightning Strike, you've got a lot of options represented by 7 cards to deal with threats on the board. Now, a good removal package wouldn't be complete without some board wipe. And I figure 2 in 60 or 1 in 30, that's a good ratio for board wipe. Hour of Devastation is an automatic pick because it hits everything except your Bolas, and he's featured in the art and flavor. It's just an all-around fantastic card for this deck. Sweltering Suns is just an all-around fantastic card. 3 to each creature to deal with those early threats, because this is a control deck that will probably go long and you want to deal with aggro early. Or, if you don't need it, you can cycle it away. It's just great. The last group was most of the spells, and the rest of them are in this package, along with the first wave of creatures in the deck. These 8 cards for me, creatures and spells, represent the card advantage. It is a controlled deck, so you're going to want to keep a steady stream of cards coming into your hand. Wildfire Eternal is going to give you double duty to serve as an attacker and some free casts. Direfleet Daredevil is going to give you an extra spell to cast from your opponent. Glimmer of Genius is going to let you scry down 2 and then draw 2, so you could potentially go down 4 cards if you're really digging for what you're looking for. Torrential Gearhulk is going to give you a spell back. Champion of Wits is going to represent some filter. Gravedigger is going to bring a creature that they've killed back from your graveyard. Ruin Raider is the standard kind of Bob if you've got creatures attacking. And Arguel's Bloodfast is just going to be a greed, a repeatable draw a card engine that then may flip and allow you to gain some of that life back. Before we move on to the really spicy creatures, these 3 are a little mini package of creatures that represent some more control. Kitesail Freebooter is going to pull a card that is too much to deal with out of their hand. Deadeye Tracker is going to give us a 1-drop in the deck to have a nice little curve going, but it's also going to ensure that graveyard strategies, we at least have something to deal with them. And Siren Stormtamer is going to provide us a little protection against targeted spells. You already saw the removal spells. Now these are the dudes that do it for you. Chupacabra's going to get it done as he comes onto the battlefield. Hostage taker is going to take something for your own. You can use it against them. Glory bringer is going to be an out of nowhere threat that can deal with a 4-butt or lower. And Noxious Gear Hulk, like Ravenous Chupacabra, is just going to come onto the battlefield, deal with something, and represent a 5/4 menace threat. This group represents the rest of the creatures. Hazaret the Fervent is fantastic, worshipped Bolas at a given time. Scarab God is ridiculously fantastic, still worships the Pharaoh God. Charging Monstrosaur is not super flavorful, but is a fantastic threat, especially at that 5 mana when you need something to round out your curve. That card may be replaced for something more flavorful. Amit Eternal is a fantastic flavor threat and a threat altogether, just very difficult to deal with. Rekindling Phoenix, again, not super flavorful, but a fantastic threat that just comes back over and over and over. And on curve, for 4 is just great. Dusk Legion Zealot, very humble, but at that 2-drop, when you need that for your curve, fantastic option. One of the best bears, well, mini bears in the set, in my opinion. And Earthshaker Kenra is another thing in that 2-drop spot that then can eternalize and be in your 6-drop spot and gives you the ability to push something through for damage. And finally, we're to the land package. It is a 3-color deck, and so that can be difficult to pull off with the limitation of only using standard legal cards. You're going to want to have your Evolving Wilds so that you can go get whichever color you're missing. Spirebluff Canal is representing our red or our blue and can come in untapped early on. After that, you've got your check lands. Then you've got your cyclers. They'll come into play tapped, but they do represent 2 colors, and if you don't need them, you can cycle them late. And then you've got your comes into play common tap lands. Highland Lake is uncommon, that represent 2 colors and give you some flexibility. That was a Rivals of Ixalan standard brawl deck built around ya boy, Nicol Bolas, God-Pharaoh. I hope you enjoyed the deck. Make sure to reach down there, click some buttons, subscribe, like, dislike if you hate me. Let us know in the comments if you've got a Nicol Bolas deck. I want to hear what you're running that I didn't run in my version. And also I want to hear what you're running for your Brawl deck. Brawl is a format I'm very much looking forward to. I'm going to play it a ton in MTG Arena, so I hope to see you there. Other than that, I am tapped out.